Meeting of the Atwater City Council for July 10th to order. We are going to start with the invocation by Police Chaplain Jim McClellan, who is also going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you please stand.
Our Father, as we approach your throne tonight, we're so thankful that we can. We're also thankful for the fact that you not only hear us, but you do answer our prayers. And Father, we do praise. We're in this meeting tonight, Lord, that you be with each council member, especially in our mayor. Lord, give them wisdom as they direct the affairs of our city. We ask that you have your hand upon them and bless them. Lord, we do pray for our police that are out patrolling right now. Father, I'm asking, Lord, that you build a hedge around them, get them home safely. Lord, we just thank you for their service. Thank you for their families as well. We also pray for our firemen, Father, that are out. And Lord, we just ask that you protect them as well and get them home to their families. We just thank you for the service. Lord, be with us in this meeting tonight. Everything that we say and do would be that to glorify thy name. Lord, we do ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll fix that later. Okay, let's go with the roll call, please.
Ambrose,
Here.
Button,
Here.
Hill,
Here.
Raymond,
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have City Attorney report out from closed session, please.
Yes, council convened in closed session and received information, provided direction, no reportable action.
All right, do we have any subsequent need items?
Mayor, there is none.
Can we have approval of the agenda as posted?
So moved.
Second.
First by Raymond, second by Ambrose. Kale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we have several ceremonial matters today. Chief and I will be handing out certificates of recognition to the Police Chaplain Jim McClellan and also to Dispatcher of the Year Kathy Mathis. So Chief, if you'll join me down there.
Yes, sir. We'll start with Chaplain McClellan. Chaplain, come on up. In 2019, when I took over, a lot of the different volunteer units that we had kind of disappeared. And I met with Jim right after I became chief, and we started talking about chaplaincy and whether I valued the chaplaincy, how I felt about chaplaincy, and I've had robust chaplaincies everywhere I've been in my career. So not to really have one here in Atwater was kind of something I really wanted to start up and really get going. And Jim just kept the ship in the water, basically, for the years of turmoil that preceded my hiring as the chief. So the rest of the chaplain unit asked me last month if we could recognize Jim for that. And perfectly appropriate. Jim kept all the books. He still does. He manages all the money, and he did so with absolutely no support for a great deal of time. And for that, I'll be eternally grateful, because everything is the way it's supposed to be. And that's a lot of testament to Jim's hard work and dedication to the unit. And now that we're starting to grow the unit back, Jim's role as the treasurer of the unit is still as important as it was 4 years ago. So with that, I would like to, and on behalf of the department, present you Jim With this certificate of appreciation, this acknowledges that Chaplain Jim McClellan is recognized for his dedicated service to the Atwater Police Department's chaplaincy program. And I would be remiss, he also helps us out with the toy drive every year. And he manages the money and he has the bank account, so it's something that I greatly appreciate. So, Mr. Mayor?
Well, we know the police department has more money than the city council, so you only get a paper certificate from us. But we do want to thank you. This says for your dedication and perseverance during COVID-19 pandemic and your continued service to the police chaplaincy. And I have worked with you on the toy drive before. You've done a great job on that, and we're glad you're still hanging around. You can say a few words.
Okay.
I guess.
Like I said, I don't know what to say except that I'm just glad the program was able to stay the way it was. There is such a need for us when we're out with not only with the officers and that, and in the community. And like I said, this to me is home. I was a military brat. I've spent nearly all my life in Europe in different places, but I call this home. And I love this little town, and I love the city. I love everybody that's here, and I just want to be a part of the city, and I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jim. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Next, Ms. Mathis, come on up. Kathy and I go back about 30 years. Yeah, about 30 years. I met Kathy when I was a police sergeant in the city of Chowchilla a very, very long time ago. And our paths kind of went away, and then they kind of came back together when I became chief here in 2019. Kathy's our senior dispatcher. And until recently, our dispatchers worked by themselves. So they answered the calls coming in on telephone, and they dispatched the units, and they kept, they basically are the maestro of a large orchestra of guys that you told what to do, where to do it, how to do it, correct? Almost like kids. Yeah. And Kathy has been there through thick and thin. She was nominated by the supervisors, patrol supervisors, and the lieutenant, and our dispatcher of the year for 2022. She trains new dispatchers. She's just been kind of the rock. She's our senior dispatcher, and when you're on the other end of the line or you're on the other end of the radio, there's nobody better. There isn't. So, this is a certificate of appreciation acknowledging that Dispatcher Kathy Mathis is recognized for dedicated service to the Atwater Police Department as Atwater Police Department's 2022 Dispatcher of the Year.
And I won't say the same joke twice. So we want to, City Council wants to recognize Kathy as Dispatcher of the Year for 2022 for your admirable service to the community. Thank you very much.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Day shift, right? John, day shift? Day shift. You're welcome. Yeah, when I leave a city council meeting, I always go and put my key back and check in. She's usually on the radio on Monday nights, and I look at her and I go, day shift. And she won't come to day shift. I just don't know why. We have one more. Yeah, you. Our last presentation of the night is something that all of us that wear the uniform eventually want to be in this man's position. A lot of us don't make it for a variety of different reasons. They're injured on the job, they can no longer do the job, they give their life for their profession and the community that they serve. And it's always a wonderful thing that we're able to celebrate when somebody makes it and they're standing in their one piece and they're out there ready to take care of the next chapter in their lives. And tonight, that's what we're celebrating. Sergeant John Smothers has been in law enforcement for 32 years. He recently retired last week. He just looks better. He's got color. He was one of our vampires on graveyard shift. He didn't like to come off it either. But he's got color now. It's almost red. It's like a sunburn. Yeah, Tahoe was good. So he spent time with the Dos Palos Police Department and with us here in Atwater, majority of his career. He retired last week. And this is a certificate of appreciation acknowledging Sergeant John Smothers being recognized on his retirement, service retirement, after 32 years of dedicated law enforcement services to the cities of Dos Palos and Atwater. I've got this signed. I know my partner Brian's got something for you, and we have a special guest from Assemblyman Soria's office. So if you'll come up, and we'll go with Brian first.
So I met Smo probably 2006, 2007. He was on the task force, and I was working in Livingston. And as soon as we met, we hit it off, and I noticed he was a great cop doing what he did, and I wanted to be like him. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do that, but so very happy that I get to do this with you tonight. Sad that you're leaving. As you know, I tried to keep you for another year or two, and he kept saying no. I was grumpy. Oh, it's your fault. It's your fault. But no, we're really happy. You know, when like Chief said, a lot of people don't make it through 30 years in this job, especially 32 years. You know, Smothers is one of the guys not afraid to run towards the gunshots so that we can sleep safe at night. So thank you. I'm gonna miss you. Love you, brother. Our late night meetings in front of my house are no more.
Oh, have you gone? Okay. Well, yes, my name is Joe Ballas. I work for State Assemblywoman Esmeralda Soria. It's a pleasure to be here in Atwater. You guys have been a great host, allowing me to do mobile office hours here in this chamber. The manager, thank you. The mayor, council, we just want to recognize Sergeant John Smothers for 32 years of service. That's a lot of commitment. The family's here by your side to honor this recognition. And we couldn't be more proud that the state can recognize you for your 32 years in law enforcement in the cities of Atwater and Dos Palos. Your commitment to safety and well-being for our community is what makes the community thrive. So thank you. Oh.
You know, the first time I saw this guy was on a YouTube video. So I'm almost afraid to give him this microphone, but I'll give it to him anyway. There you go.
All right, I promise to keep it PG. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for really interrupting No Pants July. I had pretty much made that commitment, and, well, here I am. God. I wear shorts. Okay, so, 32 years. I started Memorial Day weekend of 1991 with the Merced County Sheriff's Department. And, God, I bet you if you went back and asked anybody that knew me in high school or growing up, the first words out of their mouth were, John Smothers is a cop? Wait, you mean he was arrested by a cop? No, he wears a uniform and all that. God, 32 years. I remember my first day in my first briefing, and I was the youngest guy in the room. You know, I was 20 years old and didn't know anything. I'd went to the academy, but felt like I didn't know anything until I got out there on the street. And on my very, very last day, my entire shift was born after I had already started law enforcement. Well, not Kathy. Kathy and me have also been together for about 30 years or so through different agencies. I have been blessed with a very great career. I loved my career. My wife would even attest that even during some very, very dark times, I still would strap it on and go to work every day with a smile on my face and just liked and felt like my job meant something. I'd like to thank the Atwater Police Department, the Dos Palace Police Department, the Merced County Sheriff's Department for giving me my first shot, and just the people of Atwater. My whole thing, I mean, I spent 10 years between the SO and Dos Palace, but I really got to come home. I graduated from Atwater High School. I attended Atwater schools. I mean, everything about my life was about Atwater, and I really appreciate everything that they've done for me. And I think that's about it. But hey, thank you. And you know, I still have a bunch of those stories stored away on my phone. So follow my Facebook. Oh, one more thing, and this is most important. Thank you to my amazing wife. I don't think she gets enough recognition. Because as those days, like I said, there were some dark, dark days where, you know, sometimes it was hard to get up and go to work. And every day here, get your uniform, we need the paycheck. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, now we're going to have a presentation from Caltrans District 10 regarding the State Route 99 Pavement Rehabilitation Program. And we have Anton Kazmetian, Design Manager for the Atwater Rehab Project here this evening, as well as the gentleman, the PIO from Fresno office.
Brian Hooker.
Brian, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. And every time I come up to give a presentation, I'm like going, oh gosh, what are they going to ask me today? But I do get the advantage of hearing the certifications and acknowledgments and stuff at the beginning. So it is a treat to also come up and visit from Clovis, down in Clovis. So my name is Anton Kazmetian. I'm a design manager since 2001 with Caltrans. This Atwater project has been in the works for a while. We're getting very, very close to the end of it. I have 4 primary bullet points to present, and then I have a couple of things I want to give some thanks to individuals and people, and also indicate some of the improvements that were associated with the project through the community. So obviously, if you don't drive on 99, you probably didn't see anything, but that's probably not true either, because there were some closures and stuff of ramps and roadways. We apologize for that, but it is the duty to do the work, to do the improvements. Some of that pavement had been there since 1957, so hopefully everybody can enjoy it now through there. Number 1, the remaining work on the Atwater rehab job is to be completed by Friday, July 21st. That is our strong commitment with Bay Cities, the contractor, our executive management, and to wrap it up the next 2 weeks. So you will see some night closures with the number 1 lanes on potentially both sides for median work and guardrail work in the median to close it out, okay? Update on the Merced rehab job completion date is anticipated to be completed by May 2024 as of right now, okay? The Applegate Bell Lane southbound on-ramp, missing light pole. We apologize for that. It was a little incident, but we're working on that, and they're working to get a replacement light pole for, this is for the southbound on-ramp entrance right after Panda and the flashing red. Speaking of flashing red, it's about time that flashing red becomes the operating signal, and the southbound Applegate interchange signal activation is one of the things we talked about with the city up front during the project. Some things are in place with the ramp and the off-ramp, and the advanced loops that was required, the interconnection with the city signal systems on Bell Lane and the shopping center back there. So we are going to work with staff. It isn't just go in and flipping a switch, unfortunately, but we're going to work with city staff to get that operating and get it into a red, yellow, and green signal. Those are the 4 points I had. I did want to share special thanks to city staff and managers for ongoing effort to deliver this successful project in Atwater. Never works alone, no one person, no even 20, 30 people. And city staff was there to work with us and understand that the needs of closures and various traffic impacts. We also, in tandem, including our consultant, took their points to heart in consideration and made sure we minimized impacts, especially during holiday season and other stuff. Hopefully that all worked out for you all, and we're at the tail end of it. I'd also like to extend special thanks to the California Transportation Commission, who did help us approve the funding for this project, all the Caltrans staff and managers that are involved. Like your joke about the paper, there's a lot more state employees involved with that bureaucracy than city level. Anyway, nobody will laugh at that one. It's okay. Our A&E consultant, NCM, they did a bang-up job. This was a pretty large job that we had given it to them, and they did a great job along with their subs for all the hard work. And we'd also like to thank very much the contractor Bay Cities, the prime, along with all their subs for all the construction work through the community. COVID, through material shortages on concrete, steel, and all that stuff they had to deal with, including their electrical sub, but they got through it. And of course, we'd like to thank the public and the community and those that are here for their understanding and patience to deliver a project of this size and improving their community. The improvements, I'll make it short: pavement conditions, shoulder width increases to 10 foot versus 8 foot. I know 2 foot doesn't sound like much, but if you drive freeways, you appreciate it, especially truckers. Applegate interchange ramp, Excel decel lanes that were improved through that swath. The vertical clearance at Applegate Road overcrossing was lowered to provide greater vertical clearance through there to standard. Concrete barrier and paved median in the median. Guard railing at various locations near structures, which there will be another guard railing project, I believe, to the north of our project from Atwater northerly. Where is Arena? I never, is it about a few miles north through that swath? Okay. I will have to drive there one day.
It's that way.
It's that way?
It's up, it's
We're
towards
back this
Livingston.
way. Okay. From Atwater back south then. Okay. The roadway drainage through the project limits, signing and striping improvements, and that's I know it's not much of a presentation, but we'd like to, the main goal was to let you know where we're at, and we're just about done. Mayor?
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, and at the council's discretion, one of the things I wanted to add, and thank you, Anton, for making time available to come tonight, and he kind of underplayed one thing that I wanted to bring to the council's attention by this project. Every single on-ramp and off-ramp along State Route Highway 99 in and out of Atwater was improved by this project. Most of the road surface was replaced, drainage was provided, cleaning and better access by the public. Every one of the on-ramps and off-ramps in and out of Atwater was improved by that project, and it was very much appreciated.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, does council members have any questions?
What's the Merced rehab job?
So the Merced rehab job is similar in the sense of what it's trying to do ultimately. but different in cross-section wise. But it's the rehab that's going on now with the K-rails and the shifting of traffic. They're essentially taking the existing pavement from north of Mission, about Childs, a little bit north of that, through the overhead into Rascal Bridge right there, and the elevated section through Merced, taking out the pavement and putting brand new, what we call continuously reinforced concrete pavement in the main line. And that pavement, there's multiple benefits. One, ridership, damages to vehicles, that type of stuff, you know, minimization. Of course, the other part for our stuff, because we have just as much as safety, is keeping our maintenance crews off there. And of course, public funds, because then there's less maintenance costs associated with it over a life cycle.
Councilmember Button, I have a project fact sheet on that. And I brought a couple of copies of the press release we sent out for the driveway.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Any other questions?
So, I want to get clear, you're not adding a third lane on each side.
So that is, everybody wants to know that, and so.
Exactly.
The paving of the median was done from a traffic handling standpoint, not from a capacity increasing perspective. However, that pavement that is in the median, or what people kind of look at as a third lane, it's only partial through there, right? It's not set up with the overheads, it's not set up in the tangent section through Applegate to set up and handle 6 lanes. There has to be modifications done through the community of Atwater to be able to handle a 6-lane facility to tie from the Livingston, south end of the Livingston to Atwater Merced Expressway. So no, we were not able to do that completely with SHOP, but we did some things with that money that would be beneficial to be able to handle it as a 6-lane down the road.
Right. Thank you. I knew that, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to hear that from you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to thank you also for coming. And you know, I know speaking with our staff, they've spoke very highly of how you guys have really worked really well with us and on how everything's coming together. And I know this is maybe an unfair question. When do you think we'll be able to get like a nice straight drive through from Atwater to say Chowchilla? When might we expect that kind of drive?
This is where I would put a joke in there, but I am on public.
Yeah. So you don't have to give me.
I mean, where it's continuous 3 lanes from where Mission leaves off, all the way through Merced and all the way through the Livingston. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. It involves so much politics, money, and other stuff that go hand in hand with it, between Merced Council, the funding sources and the STIP dollars that go in, you know, it becomes, but if that, I don't know where it stands with respect to the priority of that section of 99, because it's not one piece. Now, what we have done per MCAG's request, and Dennis and District 10's executive management has put together a plan, you know, that this is what it would take to do this part, this is what it would take to do that part. And then, of course, that dollar amount every year you go by, unfortunately, keeps going up. No, as far as a straight shot and 6-lane from county line to county line, I don't see the writing on the wall at this point of it without some major efforts from, you know, probably Congress and getting that type of money that goes hand in hand with that project.
Okay. Or at least, I guess I should have been more specific, like where there's no split offs anymore, I think would be a better, maybe not necessarily 3 lanes, but where we might would
From
have
a
the
traffic
split.
handling
Yeah, yeah.
Atwater, we're done with that.
Okay.
However, Merced, they just switched over not too long ago for the southbound folks. So the number 1 lane of the southbound, which number 1 for us, I don't know, is the same as the officers, but it's the inside lane. That is shifted over to the northbound side right now, and the northbound side is shoved over towards the shoulder. That'll be in position for a while they finish the concrete pavement through summer. And then they'll probably take that lane off, move them over to that new pavement, and then finish off the inside portion of that as well. It'll be a while, and that's why, unfortunately, because we do have a winter coming up, there is potential to carry over into spring, May 2024 for that project. So in simplicity, I'd say by May 2024, hopefully a little sooner, you know, before winter would be ideal.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mayor, Council, thank you.
All righty, thank you very much for your time, for being here. Our next item is the consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Okay, I'm going to open the public comment now regarding the consent calendar. Are there any members of the public inside the chambers who would like to speak regarding any item on the consent calendar? If so, you can come forward now. Okay, are there any items on the consent calendar the council would like to remove for separate discussion and possible action? Okay, I'm going to close public comment now and ask for a motion.
Motion to approve consent calendar is posted.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Our first hearing is to waive the first reading by title only and introduce an ordinance approving zoning ordinance text amendment number 23-11-0100, which amends Chapter 17.43, the DBD-BD Downtown Business District, and Chapter 17.63, parking requirements of the Atwater Municipal Code for parking requirements. I will now open the public hearing and we'll listen to the staff report. Sam?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. It's a short title, right? So what you see before you is an ordinance that's actually going to be really specific to the downtown business district, and I want to make sure that we understand that. And what we're addressing here is we're addressing parking. As council is aware, the downtown business district was initially created to help spur development in the downtown area. That was the main concern and the main reason for the creation of that zoning. When it launched, it didn't spur the development that it quite was going for. So then they also opened up the availability of food trucks. And the only reason why I bring up food trucks is because this is what triggered my staff and me to conduct an analysis on the parking requirements. I do want to stress that this is much bigger than the food trucks. So what we ended up doing is we looked at what the current ordinance provided. The current ordinance provides one parking space per 250 square feet for commercial areas. So when you apply that ordinance, we did a rough estimate that there's about 435,548 square feet of retail, which means that we would actually need 1,700 parking spaces for the downtown area, and there is only 925. So when you couple that with the fact that we decided to approve food trucks to be in the downtown area, it really didn't facilitate that goal of spurring food trucks to be able to come down and spur a real economic value there. But again, we want to look at things at a much larger scale instead of just food trucks, right? So if we have a deficit of 925 parking areas, it also doesn't allow the downtown business district to grow. It doesn't allow the businesses there to expand, and it doesn't allow new businesses in. So we did some research, and we wanted to look at what some of the other cities were doing. We did look at like San Francisco, and we also looked at smaller communities as well that are more in line with the city of Atwater. And without trying to geek out too much, what they had found is it's actually more beneficial economically and housing-wide to look at parking not in terms of parking minimums, but parking limits. So that means we want to go ahead and ease up our parking requirements. And so what I'm looking at, instead of saying, okay, let's just get rid of parking requirements, what I'm suggesting we do for the change for the downtown business district is we go from 250 square feet to 500 square feet per retail. This will actually give us an excess of 55 parking spaces, I believe, 55 parking spaces. We also do want to look at the food trucks, and we're trying to also facilitate them to coming down to the downtown business district. And we're going to use that. Their patrons are no longer going to count against the existing parking spaces, and the food trucks will count against the current establishment, but only on a temporary basis. That's really, at the end of the day, what this ordinance is going to do. We're also hoping that it will help promote multimodal transportation. That's why you'll see in the ordinance the commercial grade bicycle being installed there. But that's really, at the end of the day, what we're looking at. We're trying to spur economic growth in the downtown business district, and we think this is one way to do it. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to add one thing on top of the great work that staff has done on this, not only the presentation, but the ordinance, is this works and hems in very, very well with the amount of dollars that the council is applying to sidewalks through CMAQ in that downtown area. We're trying to create a more walkable downtown and encourage pedestrian traffic. One way you do that is the encouragement of businesses through incentives like this. It's not an incentive, let me back that up. Through ordinances like this that make it more business friendly, but the installation of sidewalks, which is what you are also doing in that area, putting sidewalks in where they never existed before. So this is part of an overall orchestrated effort that planning staff and the council are working on together.
Okay, thank you. Does council have any questions for Sam or Greg? Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? So please come forward. Okay, seeing nobody come forward, I will now close the public hearing. Would any council member like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, our next public hearing is for a resolution approving General Plan Amendment Number 23-06-0100, which adopts the MCAG thresholds and implementation guidelines. I guess you're up again. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So this is going to be a general plan update in regards to circulation. As you know, the Atwater General Plan was first adopted on July 24th in 2000. During that time, one of the elements that were adopted was the circulation element. At the time, the circulation element adopted a level of service, which was designed for, was a tool used for determining environmental significant thresholds on how a project impacts the community. It was also designed to help with circulation itself, making sure that we don't end up with gridlocked streets. But as legislation started to change, one of the things that they found as one of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gas, surprise, surprise, are vehicles. So legislation started to move forward into trying to produce multimodal transportation, mass transit, and then they also decided to look at the way they were monitoring the greenhouse gases or the environmental impact. So environmentally, what they did is they changed from a level of service to a vehicle miles traveled tool for that environmental threshold. So what you're seeing here is us transitioning from that. The Merced County Associations of Government have provided us with implementation guides. The reason why we decide to adopt the implementation guides as opposed to specific numbers is because those numbers can change over time, and what we don't want to do is have to come to City Council every time that those numbers change. So by doing this, it actually allows us to change as the Merced County Association governments make the direct changes. The other thing that I would also like to note is what's nice about this is there's actual studies that the Merced County Associations of Government produce so that way they can provide us with those thresholds numbers, as opposed to what the Office of Planning and Research did. The Office of Planning and Research just pulled a number from CEQA and said, here's your thresholds, which realistically does not work for the Central Valley. So that's really what this is. This is just a general plan amendment, making sure that we can start using the vehicle miles traveled tool analysis provided by MCAG. Any questions?
So do you want to use your own numbers, or do you want to use, or you trust the state to give them to you?
Does council have any questions? Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Mayor, if I may make a quick note, there is a little typo on the resolution number. It's 3418, not 3148. It's correct in the item as far as the resolution is concerned, but just not on the agenda.
Okay, and I was told that I forgot to say that public hearing is open.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay.
That as well.
That as well, okay. So, but I don't see anybody from the public coming forward, so I will now close the public hearing. Does any council member like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Button, second by Ambrose. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
I believe this is actually going to be leading to a greater vehicle miles traveled tax, so no.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Our next item is public hearing confirming the engineer's report and ordering the annual levy for the lighting and drainage and landscape assessment maintenance districts for the fiscal year 2023-2024. I will now open the public hearing. Staff, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, for your consideration of this item this evening. At the past council meeting, you saw an item that was agendized in the consent calendar for the ordering of the engineer's report. The reports have been completed. They have been reviewed by both myself and staff. I've had several conversations with Will Dan, who is the consultant, including as recent as today, regarding the assessment district. What you're approving tonight is the resolution that would instruct the county auditor / tax collector to levy the liens for the city to recoup those costs due to the formation of those assessment districts. There's been quite a bit of time in discussion with Will Dan, the consultant, on the past history and the way that we have previously done accounting for these. And a lot of work has gone into bringing these things back into shape. So there's a couple things that you need to know. That work is ongoing so that we don't create this dolphin effect in costs going up and down and the level of service not being provided to the assessment district. The other thing is the deficit it would create if we failed to instruct the auditor tax collector to collect these revenues for the city. It's a big part of the revenues that we capture. It's currently the method we use to pay for these costs under the formation of the district. If not approved, the general fund would have to bear these costs. So I just want to make sure that everybody understood the gravity of it and that the work is ongoing. I did get a chance, like I said, to speak at length with Mickey. Mickey is actually a gentleman, not a female, but it just pointing that out in case there's a misreference. But they have assured me, as well as the investigation that I am conducting that is ongoing, to make sure to maintain these costs at an accurate level that is commensurate with the level of service that's being provided to the districts. One thing to note is that costs are going up. That was a big deal of the expense or the extent of the conversation today, and that costs we're seeing for equipment replacement, labor, big on anything that's mechanized, pumps, motors, servos, anything that we have to do for lift stations, anything associated with the maintenance districts, drainage districts, or lighting districts are at sometimes 2 and 3 times the cost for level of service for these items. What you see represented tonight are not drastic increases. In some cases, in most cases, there's no increase to the level. Only corrective actions and those actions that are necessary to keep pace with the level of service. And I'm available to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, are there any questions from the council? I have a question for you. So somewhere in that staff report, it mentioned that there's a maximum that can be raised,
That is correct.
or you can go with the CPI.
That is correct.
And so we didn't ask for the maximum in any of these
We did not.
things.
No, unfortunately, that was a previous or a past practice that the city was involved in some of those things, and it didn't provide any better service nor comfort to the assessed parties. So what we do now is only level of service or CPI increases that are proportionate to the cost of level of service.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Okay, Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing. Who would like to make a motion regarding this item?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Button, second by Ambrose. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Again, this has been a long-standing issue that I've had. Now, I'm pleased you guys are actually working on it and correcting the issues that have been there in the past that I've complained about for 10 years almost. So I appreciate that, but until it's done, I'm still no.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we're on to reports and presentations from staff. First item is authorizing the release of American Rescue Plan Act, or otherwise known as ARPA, funds for use of one-time city capital improvement projects. And Lori, I guess you're going to make the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So actually, not much of a presentation. I do have the ARPA list in the packet. When the City Council adopted the budget on June 12, 2023, the ARPA fund was asked to be frozen at that time when the budget was approved. All the projects on the capital improvement projects were identified at the City Council workshop held on May 30th, which council identified projects they wanted to be on this list. So today, we are just bringing the ARPA project list back so that we can release some of these funds and the projects can be moved forward.
All right, does council have any questions for Lori? Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? If so, please come forward and for your 3 minutes.
Hello, Mayor, council members. It's been publicly known that we came to the city last couple meetings ago asking that the employees receive something from the ARPA funds, as has happened in majority of the cities and counties throughout the state. Since we made an amended proposal to the city council on an amount that you asked us to give you a proposal on. Since you're releasing the funds, we have not heard back anything on whether the employees will be getting anything. So I'm wondering if that means you're not giving anything to the employees, or is it staying status quo as what you had in the budget, or are you going to be entertaining the thought of giving employees something?
I'll wait till you're through, then I'll respond. So no, this city is still in negotiations with your labor groups, and that is ongoing. The release of the ARPA funds, so when the city council designated all of the allocation of the ARPA funds as lost revenue, so it'll either be ARPA fund or general fund, depending on whatever the negotiations come out to be. At that time, a budget amendment will need to come back if there is one, but that they can either decide to take something off of the ARPA project and move that forward, but the negotiations are still ongoing.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, close the, well, there's no public hearing, so would any city council member like to make a motion regarding this item?
I will make a motion, so move to put it back on.
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Button. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, so now we're on to item 14, which is a presentation, it says verbal presentation regarding the City of Atwater public safety activities for July 4th, 2023, and Chief Salvador and Chief Ayuso will be giving that presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening. I'll be brief. Chief Lopes was unable to make it tonight, so I'll speak on behalf of the prevention piece as well for the fire department. Current stats on the actual 4th of July, we ran 17 calls in the city of Atwater, one of which was a vegetation fire, which we do believe was started by illegal fireworks. Prior to that, on July 3rd, we did have 2 structure fires, one on Spruce, residential, and then an apartment on Determined. Both those causes are still under investigation. We did have CAL FIRE Prevention come down to assist with the apartment fire investigation. Both of those, as I said, are under investigation. However, there's nothing that leads us to believe that those were related to illegal fireworks. There are some arson issues in the city of Atwater, which we did get CAL FIRE Prevention down to assist Atwater PD with those investigations, and there is a pretty extensive list of possible suspects. I did print call logs if anybody in the public wants to review year-to-date call volume in the back, as well as you guys have them up there. The NALM app did get 45 notifications of possible illegal firework activity. Chief Lopes handled that, did an outstanding job, replied to each one of them, and then forwarded them to Atwater PD so that they could assist when available. Lessons learned, I can't stress enough. We need to properly care for our properties, cut our weeds back. I think the city did an outstanding job. We're down to 30 abatement issues now from 200 at the beginning, so that's pretty good. Be responsible with our fireworks, use safe and sane, and or attend fireworks shows that are in a controlled environment. And the only thing I can say as far as improvement goes would be better communication. I know me and Chief Salvador did stay in close contact, but I think that's always something we can improve on. There you go, Chief.
Well, as the community knows, we have several different events on the 4th of July that basically runs the entire clock from about 5 o'clock in the morning through midnight. So, and the 4th of July is the department's busiest day by far, with no exception. It outranks New Year's Eve, the Christmas holiday season, and the Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekends combined, basically. We ran 250 calls for service in a 24-hour period starting at midnight on the 4th of July. That is 1.5 times our normal call volume. It averaged 1 call every 5 minutes during the day. During that time, we serviced both the run and the parade. I want to thank the 4th of July committee for their help with the parade, and Gordon Wilkerson with his help with the run. I'd also like to publicly thank the Merced County Sheriff's Office Explorer Post and my chaplains who also came out and manned intersections during the day to help us out. During the 24-hour period, we made 4 arrests, 2 of them for driving intoxicated, 1 for public intoxication. We took 2 illegal Ghost AR-15s off the streets, 1 of them stolen out of a case out of Citrus Heights, Southern California. Things got cooking about 9 o'clock that night, not only with the fireworks display of you guys out at Castle, but our calls for service ramped up from an average of every 5 minutes to average 2 minutes for every call. We did 119 calls for service in a 4-hour period. That is by far one of the busiest call periods that I've seen as your chief. We did employ the new city ordinance. We wrote 8 citations for that. It was basically more calls than we could physically get to, period. But we did get 8 citations. The NALM app did help us. It put us in the right places on 5 out of the 8 citations were within the hot zones indicated by the NALM app. To date, one of the people that were cited over the 4th of July came in and have already paid their $1,000 fine in cash. We've had one of the citations challenged, so we're going to go through the administrative hearing process on that piece. And the appeals period ends for these citations the first week of August, so we could theoretically, if we received more, have as many as 6 additional administrative hearings. From the police department's perspective, the ordinance was a great tool. It allowed us to do some things that we aren't able to do, but it does have a couple of weaknesses. And I don't think these weaknesses can be fixed. We had several large in cul-de-sac parties where they would take over, a neighborhood would take over the cul-de-sac, and you'd have 200-300 people in this cul-de-sac for the 4th of July. And of course, if they're launching fireworks from inside the cul-de-sac, who do we tie to the social host? Because it's not coming from any one particular property. It's coming from the city's right-of-way. We had several of those instances. And then, of course, just like any other criminal offense or semi-criminal offense, we show up, everything calms down, we go around the corner, and everything pops off again. But as a positive, the city ordinance, the new one, does allow us a little bit more flexibility. We now have really good intelligence for next year. I hope to use the drone that we put in our budget for this year to help us with some of these parties, where we could fly over the top and actually see the people coming from houses. Because this stuff is stored somewhere. It's just by the time we can get into some of these cul-de-sacs, especially in the Buac Colony area, they see us coming way before we see where they're shooting them from. No injuries. I want to thank the Castle Fireworks Show for coming, getting out in an orderly manner, and fortunately, we got out of the 4th of July relatively unscathed. That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. The council have any questions? So I have just a comment here. I'm glad things worked out the way they did. Glad you learned some lessons from that. I would say cul-de-sac parties, that gives you an opportunity ahead of the 4th to do some public outreach on those houses that are there, and just let people know what the
heat map, that's what the
expectation is. Well, I would have had some in my neighborhood, but I couldn't get the app to work, so that was.
Yeah, it did.
I know I need a new phone. I know that. So, okay. So, I'm going to open up for public comment.
Chief, I wanted to also, through the chair, thank the chief also and all of the department. You guys did one hell of a job out there, and we thank you. The 4th of July committee thanks you. I wanted to also say once again, I think that this, and I know I'm going to get feedback from everybody on this, but I think this fireworks stuff, the illegal stuff, I think is a losing battle. I think it's overwhelming. I think that the people that are out there doing it, as Chief mentioned, they're doing what they're doing and scurrying back in like, roaches, when the lights come on. It's one of those things that, to me, and I'll continue to say it, the fine has to fit the crime. You got to hit these people with the hardest of fines. I'm still having fireworks going off in my neighborhood. They're going on all over the place. All the things, all the tools that you put together with the app, with reporting numbers, things like that, they're all good things. But in the final analysis, if you're not hitting the people that are committing the crime with a penalty that'll sting them and sting them hard, then it's all for naught, and it's only going to get worse. Every year it's like this. One year I had fireworks going off in my neighborhood. Before I changed my roof from a shake shingle to a composite, I had pop bottle rockets falling on that roof. I was able to get out there, hose them down, get them off my roof. and I brought them here to council. And I held them up in a bag and I said, when are you guys going to do something about this? That was 20-some years ago. It's still going on today, and it's going to be 20 years from now, it's still going to go on. Hit them with a hard fine. I don't know how the process works on all of that, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hit them with a $10,000 first-time offense and give it another $2,000 on a second and give them some jail time along with it. That's the only way you're going to get somebody's attention on property that is in a threat to be destroyed because of the stupidity of a few. Thanks.
Anybody else? I will say that you have some good points there. One thing that I have talked with the League of Cities about is I'd like to see the League of Cities work on this too, because the state fire marshal or whoever is not doing their job to keep fireworks from coming across from Nevada or coming by ship from China or wherever. So it's, you know, it takes all of us to make this work, and the state's not doing their job on that. So, alrighty, so we're going to move on to city manager updates.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, comments from the public. Janelle?
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and replaced on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Under the Brown Act, members of the public are entitled to directly address the city council as a legislative body of the city, not other members of the staff or the public. I'm going to open the public comment now. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Are there any members inside the chambers who would like to speak? If so, please come forward.
I have a question. I'm a board member of the HOA over by the golf course, and there is a truck parking that has been, everybody's smiling because they know. It sits right up against the back of some of our houses, which means trucks that leave 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every single morning are going to start up and wake up and cause a major inconvenience to citizens of this city. And I don't know if it's county or city. I haven't really paid much attention, but I do know that the road going down East Donna has been absolutely destroyed because trucks have been allowed to go down there. They park in the county portion. The road hasn't been repaired. I asked the county one time to repair the road since they're not built for trucks, the weight that goes up and down those roads. It's going to continue. Now we're going to destroy the rest of East Donna, which I drive on a regular basis, and add the disturbance, peace disturbance to the citizens of the city of Atwater. So we're going to have roads destroyed, which are partially city and partially county, and we're going to have citizens very, very upset, and I'm quite sure I'm going to be getting some calls about that truck area that's sitting there, and I don't understand it. There's a truck parking area over by Armstrong's. If we need that much truck parking, then let's start working on getting a truck stop over in that blank area that's been sitting there for a very long time. But that truck area can't be approved. It's got to be taken out. It's ridiculous that it's even sitting there advertised as trucks being able to go in there.
I've been told that I can answer your question briefly. That has not gone through the approval process at the city. It is in the city limits, and the city's aware of that. Planning department's aware of it. Code enforcement's aware of it, and it's not. It was supposed to start on Friday, I believe. There's no trucks there, so.
They've got signs up.
Oh, I know. I saw them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Confirming you mean East Broadway, not East Donna? Broadway.
Okay. Anybody else?
The city was presented here about a week or so ago with a FOIA request from Linda Dash. She was kind enough to share with me the results of that. And I wanted to just focus on one part, which is, once again, the Sam Joseph case. And the question was, how much money has the city spent on attorney's fees over the past 5.5 years that this has been being litigated and discussed? And the answer came back $362,324.86. I had the best belly laugh I've had in a long, long time over that one. This litigation, well, let me just go down the line here. Linda put together a spreadsheet and went through a whole lot of research on this. We've had, this one here starts at December of 2019. Churchwell White, Jackson Lewis, Myers Navi, and BBK, attorneys at law, all of them, doing stuff that is all the, things, legal-wise with the city. However, it comes down to this. For those right there, that only goes from December of 2019 down to September of 2021. So 19 to 21, and the amount of money spent for legal services, $878,090.78. That doesn't include what has been spent on premiums to RMA, which come out to $1,497,679.86. So you see where we end on 9/21, and we still haven't gotten into 2023. We have a hell of a lot of money going to litigate Sam Joseph's case, and the only ones that are being enriched by this are attorneys. Again, I'm asking you, what is the end game? What is the goal? What is the purpose of dragging this on and on and on? Millions of bucks being spent. We've got to put this case to rest. This is insanity. Attorneys enriching themselves, and what does the citizens of this city get out of it? What are you guys that are all elected officials up here, if you're not looking out after the millions of dollars that are right here, and like I say, this goes to 2021, do something about the expenditures.
All righty. Anybody else?
Hi, good evening. Linda Dash, Outwater. Hope you all had a nice day today. I did. I just have a question. I'm not going to talk to you about attorney fees, but I'm going to talk to you about the youth of Atwater and recreation and sports. Y'all have anything against our kids in Atwater? Because I'm starting to feel like maybe you do. I'd like to give you a little update. After an agreement was made between the City of Atwater and SWAG, which is a youth organization, to use Veterans Park football and baseball fields and the facility on site for a place for homework and meeting place, youth group was locked out, and the city gave keys to a business person, I won't name the name because I like him as a person, to use the facility to barbecue for his own personal profit, with the city paying all utilities. Number two, and this is very dear to my heart, Tom Dash Memorial Speedway was constructed in 1990 with a state-of-the-art go-kart track, which attracted many folks from all over California, as well as outside of California. This was put on, this was all money was raised by APOA at the time. The city closed it and plowed up the asphalt, tore down the flagpole, either sold or rented the property to local business, with the promise to me, another youth activity. Nothing. I was contacted about 2 years ago about that. The Atwater BMX track, which was built with a lot of local donations of cash and facilities, is in terrible shape. Again, this was an attraction to many young people and their families up and down the state. You know what it looks like. It looks like crap. Baseball fields at Osborne Park are being used by thousands of young people. Ball diamonds as well as equipment has been damaged. I know that my dear friend Mike Raymond put a lot of money in one portion of that park for his son. You folks just let it go to garbage. And then parents can't even get a call regarding just a little issue on their agreement. Finally, the part-time supervisor has been written out of this year's budget. Doesn't make sense since his salary is around $30,000, and he's responsible for bringing you a grant worth $410,000. Would you figure that out? $410,000 and his Little part-time salary is $30,000. Along with UC Merced students who will volunteer this summer, the grant is over 10 times his salary. If it wasn't for him, he would not have a $410,000 grant. Gentlemen, I'm bringing you my concerns and concerns of many other folks in this town, and you do nothing but look at us. And maybe you listen, I hope you do. But I want you to think about it. You work for us. And it's important to the taxpayer, and most important to the voters, so please think about it. Thank you. Also, don't forget these guys over here.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public comment. And we're going to move on to city council reports. Start with Mr. Kale.
Well, congratulations to Sergeant Smothers and our dispatch. Congratulations. I'm glad we had a great 4th of July and a safe 4th of July celebration. The 4th of July committee did another outstanding job in providing multiple events for everybody to enjoy. Other than that, on July 22nd, the Old Town Atwater will be holding a car show downtown called the Broadway Beach Car Show. And so please come out and enjoy that. That's all I have.
Alrighty, Mr. Button.
Councilman Kale, where's the car show going to be at again?
It's going to be on Broadway and Cedar.
Oh, okay. All right.
Downtown.
Yeah, I wanted to just thank the 4th of July committee with a fantastic job with all around, and thank the police and fire with during that time. I didn't realize it was that many calls. I mean, I knew it was a lot, but breaking down those numbers, I mean, it was a busy night. So big thank you to all of you guys for being out there in full force. And big congratulations to Sergeant Smothers. Great career. Really appreciate everything he's done. And then just that Caltrans came out. It was nice to have them take some questions. And, maybe we can try to have this, maybe it's asking a lot, maybe a quarterly thing, or at least, somewhere along those lines to get some questions and updates. But that's all I have. Everybody have a great night.
All right, Mr. Ambrose.
Congratulations to the 4th of July committee there. You guys, again, pulled off a wonderful event. But I'd also like to thank our Atwater Fire Department as well for always being accommodating and allowing me to tag along with you guys during the parade. Other than that, everyone else, enjoy your evening, and we will see you next month.
Mr. Raymond.
I hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th. I just want to encourage everybody to go check out the movie, The Sound of Freedom. It's a beautiful movie which brings awareness to human trafficking, especially the children who are the most, precious among us. If you can't afford it, you can go to angel.com/freedom, and they're giving away tickets. That way, money's not an issue. But it's in theaters at least until Thursday. Hopefully, they extend it. But everyone should check it out and be aware of what's going on.
Okay, I guess it's my turn next, even though I'm not on the agenda, but. Anyway, so I just want to announce that our next meeting is in August 14th. We do not have a second meeting this month, so don't show up in a couple weeks because we won't be here. We're doing that so that we can help our employees have a good length of time to enjoy their summer vacation with their families. And also I want to talk about the garbage rate hearings. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook and about petitions being signed and circulated and whatnot. And I just want to point out to people, because I want to be transparent about this, and I would hope this information gets posted on the city's Facebook page and other social media. But you're more than welcome to come here for the hearing. No problem with that. You can present oral or written testimony. But you have to submit a written protest against the proposed rate revisions. It has to be in writing. And for it to be counted, it must include several different things there. If you pay your garbage bill currently, or if you're a property owner and you pay a garbage bill, or if you're a tenant and you pay your garbage bill not through your rent, you can make a protest to this. So anyway, you should have gotten a notice in the mail within the last week or so. Please take the time to read it, and we'll get that posted on social media. And if you have any questions, you can call City Hall. And with that, have a good rest of the month, and we'll see you in August. Thank you.